Welcome back to Beast Wars Wednesday. I am your host, Predacon Paul.
I am your other host, Decepticon Doug.
Wait, it was like down here last time, right?
It's
Does it change? Does it vary?
Today, we are talking about the probe. This episode starts on Cybertron.
Which is really cool.
There's lots of robo stuff and a voiceover that goes like, where is Optimus Primal?
He's as hard to find as Carmen Sandiego.
Carmen Primal? No, Optimus Sandiego.
Carmen Sandiprimal.
Where in the world is
Optimus Primal?
So Cybertron,
They sent a probe. But here's the thing. They've looked all over space.
all over it.
So they decide about different times.
So the probe's being sent out, and one of them goes back in time, zoosh, and actually gets to the right spot. Now, the Maximals, they're having a nice evening out. Probably out having a family barbecue.
And then Cheetor's like, yo, the last one of the base is a rotten egg.
He said it just like that. And Rat Trap's like, I'm not a rotten egg, so therefore I shall not be the last one to the base.
As if Rat Trap could actually beat Cheetor in a race.
Yeah.
He's a cheetah.
Although, looking at it, he does surprisingly well. Optimus is like, you know what? It's time to teach these guys a lesson. And he flies over and he blocks their way. And in this strange moment of unusual physics, Cheetor collides and flies backwards into the rock and goes like, ow, Optimus, why'd you do that? And Optimus is like, pay attention. Still a war here. Rhinox has discovered the probe in the sky. Oh boy, I gotta let them know we're here.
Whew. So then he sends a signal, and then for some reason it just stops.
So basically, he doesn't get in touch with the probe.
So then they decide, here's what we need to do. We need to build a transwarp thingamadoo, so that way the thing can see the thing and go, yo, and then go home.
It's pretty much exactly like that. The probe is going to try to read their transwarp signature, which has been offline basically since the crash. They need to try and replicate it and put it into a signal array that they're going to build in the nearest clear zone, which is unfortunately in Predacon territory.
I have problems with that, but we'll get to it.
So they're building it, and Tigertron's watching their backs.
Waspinator's flying around. Tigertron was like, shoots him, and then he's gone.
Classic Waspinator.
Classic Waspinator.
But it was all a bit of a trick because Tarantulas is snuck up behind Tigertron and he brought a little device of his own. It's a transformation lock lens. If it shoots you, it turns you to beast mode and you can't transform out of it. He actually gets Tigertron and then they hear a bit of the scuffle and I was like, Cheetor, check it out. And Cheetor does check it out, but he is also hit with the same thing and they're both captured by Tarantulas. Who's just like, cats are dumb, man, but at least they're fuzzy. So this is a dramatic reenactment of how the transformation lock lens works. So yeah, Dinobot voices his concerns about being rescued in that in the eyes of Cybertron, he's still Predacon.
And he's still a criminal. They stole that disc.
Yeah.
It's like stealing the president's underwear or something.
I would thought maybe more like the crown jewels or something, but you know what? The boxers are just there to protect the jewels of the of the president.
I didn't even look at it that way.
The fact is, it's important, and they shouldn't have stolen it. That was bad, Megatron. Scorponok records the Maximals to see that they're up to something. He sends Pterosaur back to the base. Tarantulas is pretty sure it's a signal array, and then the space scanner picks up the probe, and Cheetor announces that it's a probe because, as we all know, Cheetor is a pretty smart guy.
Cheetor.
So this makes Megatron want to attack it full force.
Because he doesn't stand a chance against the might of the Maximal army. 6
Predacons versus a fleet, not going to happen.
They leave. Tigertron is like, yo, swinging cat, let's swing our cages. So they swing the cages. Swinging the cages.
Forth.
Like this.
Mm-hmm. We kind of watched this for a little while.
Very sturdy cages. Suspended above a lava pit.
Yeah, so the cages break, and then the cats escape.
And then they go to the CR tank, led by Cheetor, because he knows the base.
He's been there before.
He
got the grand tour back in equal measures. Scorponok is the first to engage the Maximals. He just lets them know, by the way, guys, Megatron has ordered that this gets destroyed, so I'm going to do it.
So he fires 2 rockets at it.
Primal manages to stop it, and then Rat Trap and Dinobot take out Scorponok. He falls down and gets an owie. Rhinox is at the base. And he's finally put together the proper wavelength and
algorithm,
the signal to replicate the transwarp signature. Before he gets to the array site, though, the Predacons are already attacking.
Pterosaur shows up and he's like, pew pew, pew pew.
Pterosaur has so much to say in this episode.
He does.
Tarantulas, Black Arachnia, and Megatron himself are behind the Maximals and they're like, time to fight!
And then they start shooting at each other.
Dinobot rushes to take on Megatron head-on, but the transformation lock lens hits him and he turns into beast mode. Black Arachnia kicks him in the face because she's a dirty fighter.
Like 600 times.
Yeah.
Something about that just pisses me off so much, seeing Dinobot just get kicked in the face by Black Arachnia. Although, when she gets blasted...
It's pretty satisfying. And also, there's a nice shot over the cliff before she falls over. Hey, look, it's her buddy Scorponok. They can
it's like off in the corner.
They can have a little chat while they're down there. Shortly after Rattrap's hit by the transformation lock lens, he too is in beast mode. Megatron blasts them both, incapacitated. Tarantulas is taking on Optimus in hand-to-hand combat. It's not going great though, because Optimus blasts a hole right through his chest and through his back. I actually kind of think it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
And
then hoists him up and then fires again and he goes, yeah.
But then Optimus also gets hit with the transformation lock lens. Megatron, he takes a shot at it, but Optimus manages to deflect the missile. But man, he falls and Megatron stomps him. This is the end. Looks like I win. Until Rhinox shows up finally. Thanks, Rhinox.
About time.
Where you been?
Rhinos are supposed to be some of the fastest quadrupedal creatures on the planet. You're just getting there now?
Just dragging your frickin' heel. Did you stop to smell the flowers, Rhinox? Is that why you're late?
He shows up in spectacular fashion. Whack!
Punches Megatron right in the grill.
Rhinox is inputting the thing. He gets shot with the lens. He transforms and he's like, no!
He can't put it in because he's got rhino hands. Rhino hands are good for nothing. But luckily Optimus is a gorilla. He's like, Optimus, you do it. I think Megatron severed my spine. And Megatron's like, guess what? I'm not beat up yet. And he blows up the array. And the probe passes by.
And then it's gone.
It's gone. Cheetor and Tigatron show up. They destroy the transformation lock lens. Thank God for that. Megatron, he gets out of there because, you know what? Mission accomplished. Cheetor's like, hey, are we going home?
And they're like, nope.
No. Maximals lose.
It's about time the Predacons won one. Okay, let's talk about what worked in this episode. One of the things that I really, really liked about this episode is how much it, like, certain parts reminded me of Star Trek.
Oh, really?
Really? You know when they're all in the base and then they get, like, the signal from the probe. I need this, I need that. He needs to figure out how to, like, descramble it or whatever they say, and then Rattrap's on it, and he's at his console and he's working away. And then, oh, I need this, I need more power. So then Cheetor's like, oh, I'm on it. And he goes to his console and he starts rerouting power. They all work as a team, as a cohesive unit. We need to communicate with this probe and we can't right now. So I need you to, use the resources of the base. And it's kind of like in Star Trek when they're like, we need, to send a signal with a deflector dish for this, blah, blah, blah. It really just sounded like Star Trek. Especially when Optimus is like, oh, you did your best.
Very Picard moment.
Yeah, and then he's like, hang on a second. If we do this and we do that, we can blah, 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 blah. Whenever it sort of reminds me of Trek, I love it.
This episode opens a little bit of a door and it doesn't really explore it beyond a few lines. It kind of makes you think about the fact that Dinobot is functionally a Maximal within the Beast Wars. Once the Beast Wars are over, who is he really? Because he is still a Predacon at heart. On Cybertron, he's still going to be identified as a Predacon. And he can change his signature all he wants, but his instincts are all there, and he's still guilty for the crimes that he committed with Megatron. I don't know if we've touched on this too much, but Megatron, he does not represent the Predacons as a society right now. He's a renegade, and he has his own agenda, and he managed to get together a small crew to steal the Golden Disc and a ship, go off and find Energon. Well, at least that's one particular objective.
And at this point, I'm fairly certain the Maximal military is much larger than the Predacons. The whole reason why he wants to find Energon is so that way the Predacons have more power and they will then be a match for the Maximals, because by this point in time in their history of Cybertron, the Maximals are easily more powerful. Even though the Predacons have no love for the Maximals, they need to at least survive long enough to come up with a plan to defeat them. And the only way to appease the Maximals at this point for Megatron stealing the crown jewel is to punish him And we all know what that will be.
That opens up a big question of like, yeah, what will happen to Dinobot if they get back to Cybertron? How will he be treated? Does he even want to be treated like a Maximal?
When you really break it down, when you see Dinobot's character, who he is, honestly, I don't think he would be happy as a Maximal. He doesn't share their core values. He doesn't share their programming. He's a war machine. And I don't think he really fits in with other Predacons either. Unlike other Predacons, Dinobot has something that overrides almost all of his like senses, and that's his sense of honor. If anyone's really a renegade, it's him. This battle between the Maximals and the Predacons on this desolate planet only serves to wake that up in him. That identity crisis would have happened eventually.
I like the fact that this episode opens up that door. It opens up that question of who Dinobot is and what's going to happen with him. And it doesn't answer it. It just kind of opens the door and then it makes you think. But the good news is that it gets explored a little bit better in the next episode. So we'll have to talk more about that.
Yeah. There's not really a lot that goes on in the episode in terms of developing much of any of the other characters.
Not really. No.
And because if you think about it, let's try to contact the probe. That's our mission right now. There's not really anything else going on in the Beast Wars. Everything's on hold because this probe is the main focus.
This is very much driven by story, by a single mission objective. In that sense, it is actually constructed very well. Like, there is no Beast plot, really. It's all one story that focuses in on this probe and this array. Maximals have a mission objective. Predacons, their objective is to stop that. It's basically that simple.
Yeah.
But it's actually constructed really well. It takes a while for the Predacons to even realize what the Maximals are doing.
Because their sensor network, for some reason, is garbage.
Yeah.
But it would make sense, though. And this is something that I really, really like about the Beast Wars so far. You've got the Dark Side, which is a battle cruiser, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got the Axelon, which is an exploratory vessel. Where the Axelon has shortcomings in the tactical department. In the engineering department, it far exceeds the Dark Side. Think about it. In the episode Chain of Command, their sensor network doesn't detect the fallen probe. Megatron sees it. He's like, oh, that's a stasis pod. Everyone get to work. The Axelon detected it. And in this one, the Axelon detects the probe long before the Dark Side does.
Yeah, the Dark Side only catches it the second time around.
Yeah.
That's true. Another detail I liked about this episode is them showing Cybertron. We get to see it.
Finally!
Yeah. Well, we saw a little bit of it in one of Chidor's dreams, but, it's not the same. We get to hear a cool voiceover. I actually really like the voiceover performance. I don't know. And we don't know who the character is. I mean, if I had to guess, maybe it's the Prime. Because we know Optimus Primal is not the Prime. He's not the leader of the Maximals. He's the captain of a ship. So maybe this is that Prime. But it could be anybody. But it's nice that, we get a little bit of an inkling like, oh, okay, yeah, actually their ship is missed. That crew is missed. The Maximals are going to great lengths to try and find them. Apparently, they covered all of space. So, I don't know, it's just one of those nice little details that it sort of expands the universe and answers a little question of like, is Cybertron even looking for these guys? Yes, they are.
Mm-hmm. But it's just nice to know.
Yeah.
You're right, Doug. You're right.
Thank you. I thought I may have been wrong.
This is something really minor. Watching Dinobot hammer something. Ding, 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 ding. I'm so used to him destroying things. What didn't work about this episode? Why did they need to build the array in Predacon territory?
He just said it was the nearest clear zone, but it does kind of seem just like an excuse.
You point the dish up, right? Because the closest point of approach is when it's going to be directly above you.
It does look like a nice high peak, so I can sort of see that. Still, I kind of feel like...
Optimus can fly! He can take that thing to any peak anywhere.
He's still the only flyer, though. It's understandable that they're under a time crunch. It really would have gone a long way to just keep it as far away from the Predacons as possible. Yeah. To put it in Predacon territory.
You're just asking to get your ship blown up.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Come on.
Optimus, really?
And another complaint that I have with the episode, God, I'm just full of them today. Even though the probe is a plot device, we know for a fact that they're not going to contact it.
There's no way that this is going to be the last episode. You kind of know that the Maximals are going to fail. As much as they get their hopes up, and it may look like they're almost there, you kind of deep down know it's not going to happen. It might work better if this actually happened later in the season. There was actually the possibility of this being the way that they contact the Maximals. They'd have to restructure it a little bit. But if it was like a two-parter and it looked like they were actually going to contact them, and then the plan got foiled, that would have been like a real big burn. But yeah, you're right. As it is that we know Megatron's going to win this one.
Yeah.
And so there's not really that much dramatic tension.
It's just like, I wonder how they'll lose. Why even bother with all the tension, and will they get it or not, you know? It's like knowing the outcome of a movie beforehand and them going, I wonder what's going to happen next. It's like, my buddy Doug already spoiled it for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sorry, by the way. But I guess on the plus side of that, it is, I think, more realistic that the Predacons do take victories from time to time. And in this case...
It is nice to see them win.
It's bittersweet, but from a dramatic standpoint, it's more realistic to see them win.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
Is this episode required watching?
I think it's got some nice nuggets, but I don't know if it's required. Given what the next episode does, I feel like that issue about Dinobot is much better explored in there. But it's not a bad episode.
It feels less like filler because I think Cybertron was involved. Okay, we're going to give this episode, after much debate between him and I, 3 out of 5 Maximal probes.
Yeah, we do feel like it's a good one to see. Doesn't really forward the story too much. Like, it was high stakes to some degree. It didn't always feel like high stakes, but it was a high stakes concept.
The personal stakes of those involved in the episode were high.
So yeah, we like it, but it's not required viewing. But thanks so much for watching Beast Wars Wednesday. We can't wait to see you in 2 more weeks. In those 14 days, please share with your friends. If you think that they like Transformers or Beast Wars or anything, share it with them. Give us a like, a thumbs up. Of course, subscribe, because the channel's only going to get bigger and better.
Shit, my phone.
Heaven forbid he doesn't have his phone for one goddamn minute.